Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, tmosso@the1916company.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to us directly for pricing, tmosso@the1916company.com. Today, we're discussing a 2017 model year limited edition of 15 pieces in grade 5 titanium. This is the Laurent Ferrier Traveler for HODINKEE, a special edition inspired by the American Watch blog. It does have some substantial differences compared to the original Traveler, which debuted back in 2013. We'll get to those in a minute. First, let's talk about the size. Grade 5 titanium is wonderful because, like grade 2, it's hypoallergenic and it's lighter than steel. Unlike grade 2, it's also more scratch resistant than most watchmaking steels. Here we go, 41 millimeters in diameter with a thickness of 13.4 millimeters, and from lug tip to lug tip, 48.8 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. When I throw the watch on my wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference. It's a good fit. The timepiece wears comfortably, partly because it is all sapphire and titanium. It's very light. You can also see down the barrel that the lugs, which are nicely curved, don't come anywhere near the edge of my wrist, so I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. And while it's not an ultra-thin watch, it does have an exceptionally sloped case flank, so sleeves, including tight dress sleeves, should have no trouble ramping up over the edge of this case. Taking a quick look, you can see, of course, we've got a HODINKEE branded strap that's calf on the bottom. It has a wonderful grain on the top with what I would describe as a beige coloration and a sort of distressed grain to it. We've got a contrasting stitch. You could see no crimping, no gouging. This is a brand new HODINKEE branded strap. We have a Laurent Ferrier matching titanium buckle that's satinated on the bottom, polished on the top, and has a wonderful fluid form to it. Once upon a time, Laurent Ferrier described this case as the galet case, or the smoothed pebble. And it does have the look of a stone smoothed over eons in a bubbling, babbling, running brook. And you can see that we've got a little bit of an undertuck to the lug profile. There are very few hard creases here, though if you look carefully, you can see there's a soft crease that runs longitudinally along both flanks. We've got a vintage style crown, vintage in that it's onion profiled and round, and also in that it's unsigned. That's a very old school take on crown design. You can see that the bezel is domed and actually flows into the curvature of the case quite nicely. We have these little fingernail notches or kerfs in the triggers for the travel time complication. And if you look at old travel time watches, particularly from Patek Philippe, you will find these little finger notches or finger kerfs, and so that is also a nod to antiquity. But that's common to the Traveler. What's not common to all versions of the Laurent Ferrier Traveler, two changes that HODINKEE made. First, there's no small seconds on this dial. Second, there's no date. So you have the second time zone off to the 9 o'clock side in a 24-hour format. So you know, for example, whether you're looking at 2100 or, for example, 9 o'clock. So you're looking at 9 a.m. or you're looking at 9 p.m. Now you can set the local time independently just like so. We have two different elements of white gold here. So you've got these assegai or spear-shaped white gold hands, but then you also have this white gold inlay, and it separates a satin-finished slate blue element from a Grand Faux enamel center, which is quite gorgeous and deep, rich blue, not quite navy. It's not that dark. It does have more of a aged ultramarine to it. And then you have this sector style inlay in white gold. Outboard you have a scale for reading the individual minutes, and it is quite beautifully composed. The simplification here does rob you of the date functionality, but you gain in pulchritude what you lose in utility. Turning it all over, there's also a galvanic ruthenium coating on the reverse side, so it's got this satin finish like a vintage pocket watch movement, and then it's considerably darker than the standard rhodium that you'd find on these movements. This is the LF230-02, and it does have roots in a movement developed with La Fabrique du Temps, which is high-end watchmaking for Louis Vuitton. And so that element includes things like the double direct impulse natural style escapement, the 72-hour single barrel power reserve, and this wonderful ratchet and jeweled staff-based silent winding system. You can also see that a lovely rose lathe pattern was picked for that rotor, and it's media blasted at its center. In my experience, this is the quietest and least obtrusive winding system in the world. You can't feel it, you can't hear it. The combination of the silent ratchet, which features micro tooth profiles, you can really see that well right here, and also a jeweled staff, doesn't have the rattle of ball bearings. Taking a quick look, you can see 6-position adjustment. That is truly superlative, as even chronometers only require 5, 41 pivot joules up from 35 on a standard non-traveler version of this movement. You can see the 2 nickel phosphorus escape wheels. They directly impulse the balance, each one of the 2 wheels exclusively in the balance's direction of travel. You can see the little crenellated towers on the edge of the wheel. Those impulse the roller jewel. They remove the Swiss lever. There is no Swiss lever here. Since the escape wheel impulses the balance directly, it improves power reserve, improves chronometry, and reduces maintenance requirements. It's very similar to the natural escapement created by Breguet in 1802. If you look very closely, you can see there's a little iridescent purple silicon blocker that freezes the wheel that's not currently impulsing the balance. The balance is free sprung for durability and precise adjustment. You can see it's got an overcoil hairspring to help better center the mass of the spring, so the watch will keep better time in different positions. 3 Hertz beat rate, and then you've got this lovely black polished and skeletonized steel half bridge for the balance. Look how it's been internally beveled with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 sharp interior creases where bevels meet in a sharp cleft line. We also have another one, another one, another one, and then a particularly well-defined interior crease over the center wheel. The wheels themselves actually do feature a little bit of internal beveling, which is impressive, and you can see the quality of the bevels. They're mirrored, rounded, and incredibly broad, executed by hand. The same treatments lavished on every screw head. We have engine turning on the base plate. If you look at the steel bridge for the winding system, you could see how it's been beveled on its side and then mirror finished on its top. Deeply impressive. And this is number 5 of 15 made. You can see it has an old school snapback, but still 30 meters water resistant, so dress watch water resistance standard. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.